TheSmartLocal.com
安哥，我要一杯狗皮小大，2杯米樂等沙呀，到還有2杯茶，一個米樂冰、可樂冰、咖啡冰、茶冰，還有1杯板東。
Hi, welcome to another episode of Coffee Break, where we gather professionals and experts to talk about current affairs.
That is us.
World Cup ah.
World Cup.
Oh, a potential professional football player that has to cut his hair, cut botak, go island vacation.
First topic is Ben Davies. He was not approved to join the EPL club. I feel like a fraud because I don't even know anything about soccer.
Okay.
Fulham is what?
Fulham.
Until I want half ham, half ham. Fulham FC because he does not meet the criteria for long-term deferment. So the criteria is only granted in circumstances where they are assessed to be potential medal winners of international competitions like Olympics. If he goes for this thing, he has to give up Singapore citizenship.
Which I heard the family is considering, right?
Actually, the last I read, right, the father is skewing towards just go and serve.
Oh, really?
Oh, is it?
Huh?
Really?
Yeah.
I saw the article about giving up citizenship.
Yeah.
You know that it's illegal to give up citizenship, right?
It is.
Actually, what would you all do if you were Ben Davies?
I'll serve.
You will serve at the expense of your career.
Okay, wait. I didn't think about that.
The argument for him like serving is basically policy lah, because the government already set the policy. So if we do this, it's
Open
a
up
slippery
again.
slope.
Yeah.
Then in future, anyone also can exempt. The against argument is that you are denying people of the chance to excel in like their area. But then also there are people saying that okay, but defense is like a much more important pillar as compared to sports.
I can see the importance of national service. One of the points that I read in one of the articles is that talent does not go away. So even if you give up 2 years for your country, like there are certain Korean football professional players who do that, right? It shouldn't undermine your football career. If you're really truly motivated to become a professional football player, right? Maybe make you work a little bit harder. I don't know, you know?
I don't agree. I feel like football as a sport in general, right, at the EPL level, there are like millions of teenagers in the UK, right, who are trying to make it as professional football players. Only like a small percentage of them get to make it to like EPL level, which is where like Ben Davies has a chance to go and play now.
The main thing here, right, is that okay, say for a lot of people are drawing this example with Joseph Schooling, saying that if he was not allowed to defer until like 2020, right, he wouldn't have gotten the Olympics gold for us. But then they don't recognize this EPL thing as something that is of international scale.
I didn't know anything about this, so when I went to read the Facebook threads, right, a lot of the people who were angry were basically just saying that it's very unfair to other Singaporeans to serve NS lah. So a lot of the anger is really stemming from this kind of form of like jealousy, like oh it's unfair, like why can he go? Then
Yeah, lor, I also kena why you never.
yeah. It's very petty
Really?
anger lah. A lot of the comments that are coming up, so they're not really thinking about like all the work permit things like that. Yeah.
So the thing is, they have said that they were going to submit an appeal. The thing is, MINDEF is saying that in their appeal, right, they are not planning to indicate when he will return for NS. So MINDEF is basically worried that we grant you deferment, right, then he just never comes back lah. But the thing is, like, a football career will last you maybe like 12, 15 years, like max. And if you look at past instances like Tony Tan's son, who was deferred for 12 years before he came back to serve NS, and then he was a scholar. So the question is like, as a scholar, right, what kind of impact did he really make to deserve that 12-year deferment?
It's probably policy level, which is something that we'll never see as normal citizens. I feel like if Fulham said that they can guarantee he'll get at least like 5 matches next year, I think there's a chance that MINDEF will say okay. But if Fulham is not able to set that guarantee also, right, then there's no reason for MINDEF to say okay, go up.
That's true lah.
I don't know, it feels intense.
Moderating 101. I don't know, man, it feels pretty intense.
But I also at the same time feel that there has to be an evolution in our policies on what qualifies for a Singaporean to have deferment.
And I think in Korea they also had cases where like Korean footballers were signed. They allowed them to be deferred lah, even though like I would say defense for South Korea is also is obviously also something that is of critical.
Yeah.
Wow, theirs makes importance, yeah.
They're at war, man.
They're no longer at war.
Yeah, but I think like what John said, I think that the policies can evolve because it's kind of stuck there.
I think Ben Davies is very lucky that he's appealing now, right, in World Cup year.
Yeah.
So everybody cares about it.
That's gonna bring me to my next point. I read this article online. It's not released by any news site, but I find it very interesting because they talk about how Singaporeans' relationship with the sports industry is very transactional. It's like when people are playing in like a 50k national stadium, right, but then got very few people turn up because they don't think that the Lions don't even know.
Red
Red Lions.
Red Lion is the parachute one.
The
Yeah. Young Lions.
Well, that's answer three.
Whoops!
I would say Lang Lions.
Lang Ryan.
So it's also like this culture plus the World Cup thing. Then everybody is just feeling very emotional about it. Yeah. But if this happened like maybe 2 years later,
Nobody cares.
Unfortunately, the reason why, right, is that the prevalent culture is that Singaporeans have this unspoken mindset that there is no hope for Singapore sports. Right? People always never consider that sports can be a form of career lah. And even though we have semi-career sportsmen that are out there working their bodies out, right, to try and win for Singapore, Singaporeans are very ruthless lah. They only care about the medal count. So there is no culture of development when it comes to sports in Singapore, and that's why, like, even though, like you mentioned, for South Korean team, right, they're like, oh, defer him some more, train him up for the next World Cup. There's a lot of a culture of sportsman development. They are interested in their sportsmen and their sports pride, but Singaporeans are not.
Let's go.
Boom!
Pro access.
Pink color paper on an envelope.
so
Are you
this
Singaporean?
piece of news is about Care Shield, an upgraded version of Elder Shield.
Oh,
Do you all know what Care Shield is?
Yes,
it's an upgraded version
of
Elder Shield.
Elder Shield.
Is it the
Paraphrase?
compulsory
specifically
after.
for ladies or something?
No. It's for everybody.
So everybody.
Oh.
It's like
Compulsory
a-
after some age.
It's a national disability like insurance thingy, which apparently guarantees long-term payouts. Now they just introduced this new thing for people who are born 1980 and after. The reason why there's a pink color thing here is because the premiums for women are going to be more expensive because their life expectancy rates are higher according to statistics. It's 85.2 years. For guys, it's 80.7 years.
Yeah, live so long for what?
Also not we want one.
You think we want it?
So healthy for what?
Because men are generally dumber lah, so higher tendency for us to do stupid
That's exactly what Soci 101 was saying.
It's going to be implemented in 2020. The argument is very simple. The for argument is, okay, you all really live longer, what, okay? Then the against argument is that for women, right, most of them have like commitment to the family, so they earn less than men. That is, yeah, because it's just the fabric of society lah, that most of them are like, they become housewives. So the women think it's unfair to them. That's one. Another thing is it's because it's not their fault. They are just genetically programmed
We didn't ask to live this
to
long.
live longer.
Yeah.
But do you think it's fair? They have to pay an extra premium.
No, I don't think it's fair.
Wait, do they pay premium from the start or do they pay after they exceed something?
When the program begins, lah.
I think so.
No, I think if that's the case, then I think it's not fair. Because they live longer is the reason they pay more, right? Then if they live longer, then they start paying up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if they do it by age, maybe I think it's a bit more fair lah.
By saying that, okay, if you live longer than you pay, it's just like saying, okay, by the time I get cancer, then I buy insurance.
But it's a bit different because this insurance is from government. Government has a commitment to ensure the citizens are taken care of. It's not from a profit point of view. It's
Yeah.
a government care for people kind of point of view.
Chris mentioned, right, the government is supposed to try and take care of your citizens. This kind of policy, right, causes unnecessary divides. Just because of a statistical age where people have a longer lifespan or not lah.
It's not something that you can even guarantee. So I think that's where a lot of people are just getting round up lah. It's not like us to live longer. Right? So it's a bit unfair like from the start if you're expecting the woman to pay higher than the man lah. Because then what guarantee is there?
Correct.
You know?
But you have to base our policies on something objective.
Correct.
And numbers are objective. So regardless of how we feel about things, right, if statistics show that women live longer, means out of like 20 women, right, 5 will probably outlive the guys. So if that's the case, then it doesn't make sense to say that we don't know who will live longer and therefore not have the
Premium.
the premium. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. So we need to have a better reason to say that we should not have the premium or that the premium should stay.
But I think that it also doesn't really make sense to say that women generally make less because you cannot on one hand be fighting to like, oh, equal wage, and then on the other hand say no, but we earn less, so we pay less tax.
I don't think it's about like them earning less, but it's more they are more likely to be out of the workforce. If a family forms, 80% of the time is the women who are staying at home.
I mean these days it's different lah. The women are putting careers ahead.
Being a
Coming out, things
caregiver,
like that.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So of course the numbers are different lah. If you're comparing like how we are today to how it was back then.
I think it doesn't make sense lah. The statistical consideration of whether a woman lives longer than a guy based on statistics, right, shouldn't be part of the discussion at all. Because like it is as if you are penalizing someone for having a longer lifespan. So what happens if this becomes a racial comparison? It becomes unnecessary. You are unnecessarily drawing divides.
Like you can find statistics that say, oh, Chinese people live longer than Malay people.
Okay. If we flip it around, right, then and male and female both pay the same, right? Would you then say that the males are unfairly paying more?
No, because all of us are under CareShield, something that's provided by the government, it should come under the fact that we are insuring Singaporean. And it ends there. It shouldn't be I'm insuring a Singaporean guy or I'm insuring a Singaporean Chinese guy. All these things cause a lot of unnecessary friction. And I can see where this anger is stemming from because it feels like, right, a discriminatory move. It feels like people don't see the statistics. People see the because I'm a woman.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is why there's so much unhappiness when it shouldn't be the case.
I feel like if you look very closely at why we're unhappy, right, it is because there is this idea of equality versus like inequality. The thing is that we, as an ideal, we like equality, but as a practical reason, as a practical thing, we have inequality.
Correct.
And we're always fighting to find equal ground. For example, males have NS, right?
Yeah.
Males also get penalized in terms of if you get divorced, the males have to pay regardless of who is richer.
Correct.
Females also have benefits. So I think that maybe anger over this issue is a result of all the inequality.
Actually, since you bring up NS, right, it's also like a genetic thing, right? Like, oh, men are stronger or more able-bodied, that's why they go and serve NS.
Actually, I want to hear from a woman's perspective. Like, as a female, right, if let's say once this takes effect, then you have to pay like extra. Are you able to understand the policymaker's standpoint and how will you feel about it?
I mean, obviously, a lot of the anger is stemming from a very emotional standpoint. You can bring up numbers, you can bring up statistics, but ultimately, right, a lot of the anger that's coming from people is just merely this is unfair. But how are you so sure that it's me? And then when you bring up like NS, things like that, all of this is already ingrained in our society. Like you can bring up the fact that you are able to say that because you're coming from a place of privilege. Women can still, it's still a choice for them to serve NS. So it's not like, oh, women don't have to serve NS at all. At the end of the day, right, you can still keep pushing like, oh, numbers, this, that, it's all, you know, fair and easy, but we will still feel that it's a bit unfair because ultimately we're still paying
So basically women think it's unfair, so they are right. It doesn't make sense, what?
We're not saying we're right. We're
I
saying
think is that because now it's something that is a policy that is not set in stone yet, so that's why if there's a time to voice out, it will be now lah.
So our discussion was inconclusive. There's
Yeah, they just
there's
need
no
to-
pleasing everyone
Yeah.
with
That's
whatever
true.
policy. It's the way it's been communicated.
Yeah.
Because even if it's compulsory, it's not like, wow, I totally disagree, we are paying more. We're still going to end up paying anyway.
Yeah.
So it's more of like, you just need to understand that from their point of view, statistics is what matters.
Thank you for watching another episode of Coffee Break. If you have other topics you want us to talk about, leave them in the comments down below. And watch our other videos over here.
Bye.
Cheerios, like, share,
Hey, bye,
subscribe.
bye.